bell icon now so you never miss an episode. Welcome to the Quayside edition of Asexualise today because, I'm live from Exeter Quayside and I'm in a park, a secluded park that you have to open a gate to get in order to, be here. So, today I'm going to discuss with you the difficulties of being extroverted in an introverted world. And how can you survive this? How can you get your extroverted needs met in an introverted world? So I didn't realise when I grew up that my parents are introverted. And I didn't realise that a lot of the world appears to be introverted. And when I've gone through my entrepreneurial journey, so I started in the entrepreneurship space, if you like, in 2012, before I found out I'm asexual in 2014, it's only over a period of time did I begin to understand that the majority of people, it seems like in the entrepreneur space even, are introverted. So they gain the skills, knowledge and know-how in order to portray themselves as outgoing, spoken, direct, all the kind of qualities you'd expect from an extroverted person. But they do this on purpose in order to serve the purpose they're doing, to serve the people, which is to be looking like they're more extroverted, but actually they're not, they're very introverted. So this was a huge learning curve for me because I never even realised this. I thought that a lot of people were extroverted, especially when, you see entrepreneurs on stage and you see them talking in front of thousands of people. I thought, they had to be extrovert, but no, this is not actually the case. So people like Brendan Burchard, if you're in the entrepreneur space, he's introverted. Master Sri Akashna, I don't know or Akashana, you might pronounce his name. If you've seen him on YouTube, he's a spiritual entrepreneur. He again is introverted. Matthew Hussey, whose Love Life Club I'm part of, him and his wife are introverted. Yet they are massive on YouTube. They have millions of people following them, and Matthew has over 3 million subscribers, over 500 million views, and a lot of these people, they have like massive following, right? So I assumed because they act like they're outgoing, they're kind of loud in some ways, they're outspoken, they're direct, they've always got something to say, I view these traits as extroverted. But when it comes to actually finding out about these people, they consider themselves as introverts. So growing up, I didn't realise my parents were introverted, and I didn't realise that it seems most people are introverted. And in my world so far, if you like, most people come across now as introverted. When I ask, most people are introverts. A lot of asexuals are introverted, which is great if you're with other introverts that understand you and you're around people like you. But what happens when you're more of a rare extrovert? Because I'm asexual, but I'm very different to a lot of asexuals because I'm extroverted. Now, when I've held asexual meetups, someone has said to me in the past, I'm glad you're extroverted, Sandra, because if you weren't extroverted, a lot of us introverts wouldn't, actually get to meet up, because we need someone like you who's going to be extroverted enough, to go and organise something like this, because it's not something we would usually do. So I did get praise from an introverted person for being extroverted. So there are benefits to being extrovert among introverts, just like there's benefits of introverts being among extroverts, because we can actually learn from each other, right? Sometimes the way of an introvert is refreshing, and it's interesting, and it's a good thing to do and be, you know what I mean? So if you're extrovert, you could get some tips on how to, for example, be more happy being on your own, spending time indoors, spending time in nature, this type of thing, spending time more on your own. You can learn to understand different people, but that doesn't actually help you completely match your own needs, because extroverts have needs as well. And this is something I'm personally struggling with at the moment, because I'm extroverted and most people I know around me are just introverts, and there's nothing wrong in that. But if you're extroverted and you have different needs, it's like, how do you get those needs met? Because you can't get them fully met through introverted friends or acquaintances or people around you, because they are different to you. As an extrovert, I get energy from being around people. If I stay indoors too long, then I get to feel claustrophobic, and I get to feel like it's too much, and unenergized and lethargic and more tired. But being around people energizes me. Being out around people energizes me. Just sat in a pub, even if I'm not speaking to anyone, energizes me, because I can feel the energy of the people. This is a major difference between an extrovert and an introvert. An introvert gets drained being around people. They can only stand to be around people usually for so long, when they need to actually go back home, for example, unwind or be in nature by themselves, and they need to like soak that single energy up, if you know what I mean. They need to soak that soloness up, that time on their own, and to recharge. Whereas an extrovert gets their energy from being around people. And so if you're around a lot of introverts, you know, and you're not introvert yourself, if you're introverted yourself, great, because, you know, you might just meet up for a couple of hours for lunch and be like, that's enough, we need to go back to our own place now to recuperate, recharge our batteries. And there's an understanding then. There's both mutual, not just mutual understanding, but they want the same things. They both have the same needs. But if you're extroverted and all you're around is introverted people, this can be really hard, because it's like, how do you get your own needs met? Because you can't encroach on other people's needs. You know, they all have their own needs. Of course you can compromise. Of course sometimes it's good for introverts to get out and do different things, and an extrovert can bring that introvert out of their shell and can give them new experiences. Similarly, you know, introvert can help an extrovert be more okay with solitude and stuff like that. But there has to be still a balance of extroverted needs met. And like I said, at the moment, I'm struggling with this, because most people around me and in the asexual community as well, they're introverted. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. There's lovely people who are asexual, but it is a problem for me personally when I have extroverted needs. I'm like, how can I make more extroverted friends, and how can I be more, you know, be around people that are on my vibe? So this is something that I'm personally dealing with at the moment. But one thing I would say, in order to get your extrovert needs met, is if you're an extrovert, you like being around people, so make sure you go and take yourself out, even if you're on your own, because it's better to be around people and soak up that energy to actually, you know, revive yourself and revitalize yourself and fill your own cup up, than it is to sit indoors and feel claustrophobic or feel like you're de-energized and you're lethargic. Do you know what I mean? So this morning I had a low mood, and there's partly a reason for that, not to do with being extrovert, which is to do with the fact I'm on a dopamine detox. So I'm not active on dating sites anymore. I'm not going and inboxing any guys. I'm not going and clicking on their profile and talking to them or sending them any whatever messages or anything like that. I'm doing this on purpose because I had a breakup that was bad, and I take that shit to a new relationship, right? Which is a sensible thing to do. But I've been learning about dopamine, and obviously it's a feel-good chemical, and we still need to have dopamine in our system, because otherwise we're just going to have an overload of low mood, because we've got low things going in, you know, we haven't got any feel-good chemicals. So as an extroverted asexual, you know, I find it hard because I can't find many other asexuals that are actually extroverted. So for me personally, I'm spending more time, you know, going out by myself. I took myself out on a self-date to the cinema, so I'd highly recommend, if you're extroverted, you know, you take yourself out on self-dates. This is very important for self-love, for self-esteem, for, you know, caring about yourself, and for, you know, really raising your own vibration up, you know. And even if you're not extroverted, I still recommend you get out if you've got a low mood, do some exercise, do some physical activity. So I didn't feel like getting up this morning, but I know that the cinema makes me feel good. So it's really important to just, you know, it's really important to be, you know, loyal and faithful to yourself, and to understand your own needs. So it's important that even if you don't feel like getting up, you still get up and you go out, because this can, like I said, re-energize you, revitalize you. And personally, it has done that for me. Being out makes me feel good, because I get energy from being around people. So that's what I would say first of all, is go out even if you don't feel like it, because it will make you feel better. And make sure you self-date, because then you're saying that you're worthy, of self-love. You're worthy of having the type of life that you want to. You're like confirming to the universe that it's okay to be you, and that, you know, you matter. In other words, you've got to get your own needs met if you can't get them from other people, right? Also join social groups. So about this month I have been getting out of my comfort zone more, and I went to Exeter Pride, you might know that, and that's something I haven't actually done before. And I went with the social group that I've gone to other events with, but I hadn't been to Exeter Pride. But then I went to the after party on my own. So as an extrovert, if you've got no introverted friends that want to go with you, go out by yourself, because it's better to go out and be around people and chat to different people if you can, than it is like just being in a situation when you're not enjoying yourself. Martha, yeah, it's good to remember how much fun things are. So when you can't get out of bed, you know that a good life is still being waiting for you. Thank you, Martha. Yes, it is. I totally agree. So that's what Martha says in chat. It is good to remember, because I know that the cinema makes me feel good, although it was a very sad movie. I keep picking kids movies that got sad themes in them. I had a theme of bereavement in it. I'm like, oh my God, and I was crying in it. I'm like, this is not great to watch this movie. What is it with these kids movies lately? They're really tough topics. I watched If, and then I saw at the beginning when it said a bereavement theme. I'm like, oh my Lord. It was a really good movie, but it was quite sad. So that was hardcore. But yeah, so what I do is I create what I call a happy list. And you can do this whether you're extroverted or introverted. It's good to have a list of things that make you happy. And then that's like your go-to list to go and do those things, even if you're feeling down. Because when you're feeling down, you don't really feel like doing certain things because your mood's low and you're not really thinking straight. And all you're thinking is, oh, I feel shit at the moment, excuse my language. So I have a happy list, which used to be 10 things. And now it's like, I think it's like, I did actually a video about it. It's like 20 something things now or something. It's quite a long list now anyway. I don't know how many, I can't remember, it's in my notepad at home, but yeah, so I make sure I try and do 1 to 3 things at least on that list every single day. The more you do on your happy list, the better, because this is things that's proven in the past and recently and currently to actually make you happy. And obviously revise the list as needed, but they usually call things. So for me as an extrovert, I like going to theme parks, I like going to zoos, I like going to aquariums, I like going out for meals and to the cinema, I like going clubbing, but I've damaged my back at the moment, so I can't actually go clubbing, and that is again difficult. So if you've got physical restrictions, it's harder. And you know, extroverts like different things. A lot of extroverts do like socializing, unless they have social anxiety, because some extroverts can still have social anxiety, but in general extroverts prefer to go and socialize. We like people to talk to. We are more, you know, how can I put it, energy's like more of our driving force. We're more like into talking to different types of people, if that makes sense. So it's really important that you know your own needs. So for me personally, I don't have the money to continually go to theme parks and zoos and aquariums and everything like that. So, you know, every month I try and pick like a few of those things to do. Like I go via the Odeon website in the UK for getting cinema tickets, because they're like £5 or less on there. If I go to kids club, they're less. If I get an adult movie, they're usually £5 if I'm subscribed to their club. So, you know, I make sure that I'm trying to see a different movie every week, because that does make me feel better. It gets me out. I like the whole cinema experience and magic. And with an extrovert, you know, you kind of need to be living in the outside world, not just the inside world, not just your internal world and at home. You need to be living out in the real world, if you like. You know, you need to be out around people. You need to be not just behind a laptop, but out. I do have some introverted tendencies, because I do spend a lot of time on my own, like on my laptop at home, you know, which can, you know, that can be quite tough at times, because sometimes I find it hard to get motivated to do my work, because it's like I want to go out to energize myself. So whereas an introverted, like I said, we get energized being in, sometimes I find it harder to do work if I've been in for too long, because it's like I need the energy from you know, the people around me and going out to be able to then be more productive, because it's better for my mental health. So a lot of the time people who are introverted, they get their mental health can improve if they're more energizing themselves at home. Having said this, that, you know, even introverts do still need connection because it's healthy. One of the 5 ways to well-being is connection with others. So for me, I'm doing the social group that I said. I've been out with them more this month, but it costing me more money. So I need to kind of like see where my finances lie, because going out more is ideal for me. I love it. It makes me feel much better. I prefer to be out. But, you know, there's times when you know, that can cost a lot of money if you're going socialising. If you're just meeting up in a park, or you're just meeting up, you know, like without going for food or anything, you're just chatting to someone, it's okay. But you know what I mean, as an extrovert, I like entertainment as well, and I find that's very different. I don't know if that's more of a personal thing, because obviously extroverts have their own personal needs as well, not just the needs of an extrovert. So what you've got is, you've got, you know, an introvert or an extrovert, and there's also an ambivert, which is in between extrovert and introvert. And so you've also got then your own needs and your own unique likes and wants in life as well. So that can be quite a difficult combination. I find it hard because I am naturally a hyper person. I'm naturally a vibrant person. I'm naturally an energetic person. And a lot of introverts would get drained in energy by the fact that I'm hyper and energetic. But that doesn't mean to say I'm bad. That just means to say that I'm not really in the right environment for me to thrive and for people to see my beautiful extroverted qualities. Because when, for example, I was in London and I was at the business seminar for 2 days, I think a lot of those people probably are still introverts to a certain extent, but there's a lot more people that like my high octane, energetic, vibrant personality. It's what is suited in that environment. It's what people expect more, you know, and I feel really good in that environment. So we need to be trying to find environments and people that kind of like welcome the type of personality we have and the type of energy we put out into the world. Or, you know, in case of introverts, they get drained of energy by being out in the world. So we need to find people that are like-minded, you know. That's why I find it harder, because a lot of asexuals, which, you know, I love asexuals, they're great. I am asexual, but a lot of asexuals are introverted. And so I feel like there's less people like me. So it's like I fit into the asexual community in lots of ways, but then I don't in terms of extroversion, you know. And so I think this is a really important. You need to recognise your own needs, your own wants, your own desires, and you need to actually accept yourself, you know, because if you don't accept yourself, you can't actually do anything about it. So for me, I'm trying to do different things this year. I'm trying to go to different places. I'm trying to join different social groups on Facebook in order to try and go out more and meet different people. At the moment, I've injured my back, so it's harder as an extrovert because I can't go out as much. I can't do as many things as I would usually do. So I think you have to be very brutally honest with yourself about your actual needs, and you need to understand that just because you're not introverted, like the majority of the world seems to be, doesn't mean to say you're wrong or a bad person, or there's no one out there for you in the world. It just means you've got to look in different places, because if you are an extrovert that's surrounded by introverts and all you do is stay in the same communities and do the same things all the time, nothing's going to change. So you have to try and move to different social circles. You can still obviously stay in the asexual community. I'm still running my asexual groups. I'm still asexual. But, you know, branch out into other social circles. Try different things. Like go and do activities that more extroverts would be likely to do. And go and, you know, find those people that you vibe with in an extroverted way. Because when we're around like-minded people, we can be ourselves more, because they love who we are for who we are, because they want that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're extroverted and you're trying to get an introverted to understand you, they can understand you. But if you are feeling like you want to spend a whole day, for example, with someone, right? If you're extrovert, that might be just like normal for you. Like you're outgoing, you're extroverted, you want to go out for the day, you want to be out from the morning till the night, you know, maybe you want to party at night. But an introvert might be like, oh my God, that's too much for me. But it doesn't mean to say that you're too much for them. It just means to say that the circumstances are too much for them. And so it's better if you can find people who love to do the things you love to do and who love to spend equal amount of time with you and spend those hours. Because if you've got someone who's enjoying being with you and spending time and doing the activity you're doing, that's going to make it more enjoyable for both of you. So first is recognizing what your needs are and recognizing if you're extrovert, it's okay to be that way. And then it's taking the steps to find people who are like you, but also realizing that you've got to meet your own needs a lot. I think as an extrovert, that's a lot harder, because introverts, by nature of being introverted, they are into themselves, not in a like vain way, but they're introverted, they're introspection, they're in within themselves more, if you know what I mean. And so they need to spend time indoors more and stuff. And also, like, I've got an introverted best friend, but they are out in nature a lot, but they're by themselves a lot because they don't really want to be around a ton of people. But they actually they do get a lot of dopamine, if you like, through doing physical activity. But they're introverted, but they see more people than I do. They see more different people than I do. I spend a lot of time on my own. So I would like to be spending more time with some other people than just on my own. But the one good thing about spending time on your own as an extrovert person is you can meet your own needs, and you don't have to rely on other people to be happy. But I think in general people do still need connection with other people, and I think if you're extroverted it can be hard. Because I'm just beginning to now feel like, oh, well, the people I've got in the past as friends and the people that I've been surrounding myself with most of the time over the majority of the years, like in terms of like close friends and stuff like that, the majority, not all, but the majority are introverted. And so that's probably why I feel that my needs are not being matched as much as they should be, because, we're on different wavelengths. We've got different mindsets. We want different things. So this year, I'm planning to try and change my life as much as possible by changing myself, and also by, finding out where more extroverts are. I think that's quite a difficult thing. Sometimes it's hard if you've got two extroverts because you can clash with your personalities. So sometimes an extrovert and introvert pairing actually works quite well. Or an ambivert, someone who doesn't mind going out, staying in, who's like between extrovert and introverted, that can work quite well, because the danger of having two extroverts in the same room, for example, who are very, very similar in their extrovertism, it can be a clash of personalities. It can be a clash because extroverts tend to like attention more, and we tend to want the spotlight more, and we tend to want people to look at us more. I mean, that sounds really vain, right? But it is kind of more true. I'm being honest with you, you know what I mean? Because we're more, I don't know if exhibitionist is the right word, because that sounds quite naughty and rude, but we're more wanting to be on display to the world, if you know what I mean. We're more wanting people to notice us. We're more wanting to be the life and soul of the party. We're more wanting the attention, because we're extroverted. So instead of being within ourselves, we're more bringing our personality, our vibrancy out to others, and we want people to take notice, and we want people to see it. Does that make sense? I'm being very honest here, because some of this sounds like it's quite vain, right? But, I think it's important to be honest about extrovertism. And everyone obviously is going to experience extrovertism different. You're going to have people who are mild extroverts, ranging for people that are extreme extroverts. So you're not going to see all this behaviour displayed through every single extrovert in completely the way I'm describing, because people have different degrees, and also people have their own life experiences to bring to the table. So an extrovert that's had bad experiences, for example, being sociable, would have problems socializing. Does that make sense? Even if they want to. They might lack social skills to be socializing with others, even though they really have that strong need and desire to be more sociable. So, every person's a work in progress, and you have to decide what your needs are and reassess your life. This year I'm reassessing my life a lot. I'm reassessing what do I want to do, where am I headed, what what's going on with me. Like, and I would like to find more extroverts. Like, I Facebooked, if that's a word. Like, I looked up for Facebook extroverted people, and I couldn't even find a group for extrovert people. I'm like, oh my lord, is there really no extroverts but me, or what? I mean, I know there's more extroverts, but there's very few that have come to my asexual meetups. I know there's been at least one extrovert that came to my meetup. That was quite interesting because we both had very big personalities, right? And we're both of us like attention. I'm saying it truthfully. And so that was kind of like interesting, because when you got two people that want attention, you can kind of feel that, and sometimes it can create tension within a group. So you've got to be really careful. And as I'm the organizer, I don't want there to be tension, because I want everyone to have a great time. This is going back a few years now. This is not a recent thing. But I wanted to share it with you because it's insightful, right? And so I think, you have to understand your personality. You have to understand the dynamics of people in social situations. You have to understand the people in groups. And, if you are extroverted, you can, if you've got another extrovert that's obvious extrovert, it can be difficult, that, you know what I mean? Because it's like you're both wanting the same thing, but you're both wanting attention on you. So I have come across that, and I'm being honest with you about that. So sometimes an extrovert and more introverted pairing works better because it balances each other out, and it's, you know what I mean? Oh, sorry, you lost me for a bit because my phone decided to completely go like this. So I've got my charging now. Yes, I was saying that sometimes an introverted and extroverted pairing can work really well because they can balance each other. There are some couples, for example, that do get on really well because, like, the extrovert can add a lot more excitement to the introverted's life, if you know what I mean, because the extrovert can bring in new ideas and fresh perspectives, and also can, give the introvert a taste that they wouldn't usually experience. So if a person's very extremely introverted, they might be indoors a lot, they might not go out much, they might kind of play video games, watch television, be very kind of like live a very insular life, is that the right word? And maybe they're lacking excitement in life. Maybe they're actually bored with their life. They're lacking some excitement. They're thinking everything's mundane. Maybe they're feeling a bit down. And then the extrovert comes along and they're like, oh, let's go out. Let's go and try this. Let's go out here. Let's go out there. Right? And the introverted could be like, oh, wow, like this is quite novel and exciting. It's a breath of fresh air to my life. The danger of this is if an extrovert and introvert end up, for example, being in a couple like this, it can work as a disfavor because, the initial excitement can wear off, especially for an introvert, because they can be like, okay, this was great at the beginning, it's really exciting, but now I need my peace, I need my quiet, I need to just be on my own, right? And if an extrovert has got such a busy life and social life and going out to all different places with loads of different people, so they don't really rely on their introverted partner to go out with them and spend time with them, then that could still work well, right? Because the extrovert can go out. But some introverts not going to really like the fact that their extroverted partner is going out all the time without them. So the introverted extroverts can balance each other out in relationships, but it can also cause conflict. Because like some introverts might be like, well, I don't really think it's great for my partner to be going out with all these different people, like different nights and stuff, and I want to spend time with them at home, but they're just out being, doing all their thing all the time, right? So I think it's all about balance and seeing what works well. And like I said, initially it could be good because the introvert could think, oh, this is fun, this is exciting, especially if their life has been not so exciting, but then that could wear off. And so then the extrovert's feeling, oh, hi, you were really into me. You were like really excited to see me and spend time with me and go out and do all this stuff. And now all of a sudden you're not doing that. And if it's a new relationship, for example, they're not used to the way the introvert was before they met them, then this can cause a disconnection, I would say, because it's like, hang on a minute, you were going out with me, you were doing all this stuff, and now you're just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I just want my quiet time and I just want to go into myself, So I think there has to be a lot of awareness of each other before you get into a relationship, ideally. And you have to see if you can actually work it out. because, you know, like I've even read that some relationships don't last because an introverted person is too introverted for the extrovert, and they want to spend much more time indoors, and the extrovert actually wants to be with their introvert partner and go out because they want to spend time with them, they want to be connected to them, they want a lot of communication. So I think you've got to pay attention to your own needs and their needs. You know, this could be similar in friendships as well. If you are an extrovert and you've got an introverted friend, they may only want to see you like once or twice a month or something, if that, whereas you might want to see them 2 or 3 times a week. So it's good as an extrovert if you can have other friends, if you can have social other people, if you can have something outside your friendships with your introverted friends or introverted partner. It's good if you can go out and expand your social circle and do other things. But obviously that in an actual romantic relationship, for example, it could cause some conflict. So because, you know, like the introvert partner might be like, I just want you to spend some time at home with me, I just want to chat to you, I just want to sit and watch Netflix and chill with you, you know, but you keep going out with your mates or whatever, you know. And, you know, and similarly it could be like, oh, well, I want to spend time with you, the extrovert says to the introvert, but the introvert's like, I just want to go off in nature and just not bother seeing you. You know, I just want to go down the beach and not bother with you today. You know what I mean? I just want to be by myself. I think they could have won a lot of time by themselves. So you've really got to see the pairing, and you've really got to see how things pan out. But the thing is, you can't necessarily predict that. So what I think is best to do is try to get more friends, try to get more people that's similar to yourself, that's on your same wavelengths as you. So if you're introverted, try and find more introverted friends. If you're extroverted, try and find more extroverted friends. However, you might decide that you want to change yourself in life. So I used to be introverted, and it was only when I was 10 years old, I remember it distinctly, that I decided I didn't want to be introverted anymore, because I personally didn't like it. I felt miserable being introverted. I felt very alone. I felt very miserable. This doesn't mean to say it's a bad thing being introverted. Loads of people love being introverted, but for me it was bad. I wasn't enjoying life. I wasn't going out. I wasn't experiencing the world. I wasn't actually happy being like that. And so some people don't know this. They don't know that you can change yourself from introverted to extrovert, or from extrovert to introverted, or be in the middle. People think you're like fixed a certain way, and you know, you could be having a programming in your mind where you're fixed a certain way. But I consciously change myself. So if you're going to decide to change yourself, for example, from an introvert to an extrovert, it needs to be a conscious decision, and you need to just start with a small step. Similarly, if you're really extroverted and find you might want to be more introverted, then you need to think, you know, like, how does an introvert behave? What do they think? What do they feel? And tap into your own feelings and see if you feel any of those same things, and see if you can be that way, you know. So you don't have to stay the same, that's what I'm saying. But you know, some people are, you know, introvert for life or extroverts for life. But I did change myself because I wasn't happy, and you know, I felt like I wasn't outgoing enough, that I wasn't going out enough, you know. And I'm glad that I changed myself, but it's harder, I think, now, when I realise that the majority of people are introverted around me. And it's like, okay, so how do I find more extroverts? So I think this is like a work in progress. I don't think it's something that I'm gonna like completely see overnight. But you know, it's nice when I had like a conversation with people on the train yesterday. There was like people that sat on my table when I was going to my parents on the train, and they were saying about the fact they're part of a Skittles club. Like, that to me is too old for me, because I'm very young. So, you know, that wouldn't suit me. And I also find, because I'm like young in my mindset and young in my lifestyle, it's hard, because like really I'm suited to being around 20-year-olds, because my mindset is like 20. I'm really young, 21. So I'm like really young, you know. So it's kind of hard. I think, you know, it's difficult. And because I'm on a dopamine detox from dating sites, it means that I've got to get my dopamine fix some other way. And so that's why I'm going to the cinema more. I'm also going out more. Like, this, to me, being out in nature is not something I'm used to that much, you know. I think it's nice to do it. I'm glad I came out. I want to be out, because as an extrovert person, it's better for me to be out and around people. This is secluded at the moment because I'm doing this live stream. But just being at the quayside, like having people around me, again, gives me energy. So if you think of Iron Man, for example, he has to be plugged in order to have some energy, right? He has to be plugged into an energy source, if you like, to be rebooted up. That's how it is for me. There's a little robin come here. What are you doing? Can you see the robins on there? Oh my gosh, hello little robin. I'm diverting now. But yeah, so I think, admit what you are, introverted or extroverted, admit your actual personality, the way your personality is, get to understand yourself better, get to understand your needs, get to understand your love languages as well. You have love languages in relationship or in friendship. Love language is what makes you personally feel loved. And so if you can find people who have the same love language as you, that's how you feel much more loved. So my top love language, whether it's friendship or in a romantic relationship, is quality time. So in order for me to feel loved, cherished, adored, respected, wanted and needed, I like a person to want to spend quality time with me, as in, like put a date in the diary, carve out a whole day to spend with each other, this type of thing, or have like 2 or 3 hours of quality time together chatting about the world, planet, universe, this type of thing, right? So someone just saying to me, oh, let's meet up for a coffee for 10 minutes, that's not what I would usually do. Because to me, it's like, as an extrovert, it's like, okay, I'm going out all the way just to have a coffee for 10 minutes with you. That to me is not actually like, for me, that's not actually good for me, because it's like, well, I want to spend time out. I want to chat to you. I want to get to know you. I want to spend time, quality time. 10 minutes is not quality time to me, you know what I mean? And so I think it's very important to try and find out that the people you're hanging around with, the people who are in your social circles, find out like, what do they like? What do they need? What time do they like? Do they like to spend a long time with someone? Do they like to spend a short time? And even in romantic relationships, it's very important to try and find out, if you can, early on, like, what is that person's needs? Of course, someone might lie to you. A lot of people who get into relationships or want to get into a relationship, they are putting on an act initially. I don't put on an act, but a lot of people are putting on an act, right? They're on their best behavior, if you like. I would say I have probably more energy at the beginning of a relationship to a certain extent, because like I have high octane energy. But if I am around a person a lot and I do spend a lot of time with them, then obviously my energy capacity can go down a bit, because I'm expelling the energy on them, right? Which is just natural. You haven't got an infinite amount of energy. So but sometimes I'm a lot too lively for the person, because if they're introvert, they're not used to that, So I think, spend time getting to know people and try and find people like you, because if you find people who are like you, then they will usually like you more for who you are, and then you'll feel like at home and at ease. So as an extrovert person, I actually get energy not just by being around people, but I get energy as well from noise and from hustle and bustle and from fast-paced stuff. And because I'm a hyper, as well as I have a hyper personality naturally, as well as being extroverted, when you put the two together, so for example, if I'm on the tubes in London, most people on the tubes get stressed out or anxiety. Actually, although I have anxiety as a condition, I get chilled out on the tubes, because the vibration of the tubes and the busyness and the hustle and bustle and the way it moves fast is actually in line with my personality. Does that make sense? So this is not very often talked about. People don't usually admit the stuff, but I know myself very well. So knowing yourself very well is a very important step to finding like-minded people, to making yourself happy and understanding you better and the world around you better. And so, I get energized by being on the tubes. I get energized by being at parties, by being at, at clubs, by having loud music, by having noise. A lot of introverts, the noise can get too much for them. They can feel like, they need to go home early from a party or a social gathering to gather their thoughts, to recuperate their energy, because they just run out of energy. Whereas me, if I'm around people that's energized and I'm dancing and I'm having that dopamine that I personally need, because I'm extroverted, and that's a natural dopamine fix for me. And it's one that's outgoing and sociable. And so I soak this energy up. And so for me, I get energy boosted by that. And I want to stay out longer and I want to be around that more, because it makes me feel good. So as an introvert feels good about, spending time by themselves and recuperating their energy and just chilling out by themselves, an extrovert can get energy and recuperation by doing the opposite. What really annoys me sometimes is when people are like, meditate, be in nature, and be in peace and quiet, right? Because people think that's the ultimate goal, is to be in peace and quiet. But what if you actually like being around noise, and the noise is your peace? The noise is how you feel good, by being around noise and music. And, it's like sound therapy, if you like. Like some people need sound therapy. And it's not necessarily just nature noises. We need to have the noise of people. When I'm, for example, in a pub by myself, Wetherspoons, in George's Meeting House, for example, in my city, I can sit at the table, eat my food by myself, and I can just listen to the sounds of the people talking, chitter chatter in the background. And I can be energized by that. To me, it really makes me feel good, right? But to a person who's introverted, it might be like, oh, this is too much noise. I just can't stand it. I want to just have quiet, right? But, people use peace as in like quiet, as in like no noise, as a thing that's their bliss point. And it's everyone's bliss point. But I'm not like that. It's not my bliss point. My bliss point is actually talking. My bliss point is action. My bliss point is music. So I've got physiotherapy for my back, right? I've got some exercise. And when I spoke to the physiotherapist, I was trying to put my knees up, right? I have to do this exercise where I move my knees up and down like this. And when I first started doing it, it was really hard because I couldn't get it that high. And then when I started talking to the physiotherapist, she said, oh, you're moving fine now because you're talking. She said, so what I want you to do is when you're at home, I want you to like talk to yourself or play music. She said, because by talking, it actually lowers your anxiety. So you're not holding your breath and you're doing the exercises much more fluidly. And, you're doing them as I need you to do them. So, that is proof that for me, personally, I need to be talking, because talking actually relaxes me. Talking actually makes me feel calmer. Talking makes me feel at peace, right? But when people say peace and quiet, it seems like a lot of people associate quiet with peace together as the ultimate goal in life. Like people, a lot of introverts, for example, they want to be out in the countryside. They don't want people around them. They want to be on a secluded beach somewhere away from everyone. But that's not who I am. I like to be in the city. I like to be in clubs. I like to be talking to people. I like to be jumping up and down. I like to be energized, right? But if you've got people around you that don't understand that don't like that, you're kind of going to feel like you're not appreciated for who you are, or people don't accept you for who you are. And that can make you feel really awkward. It can be like, oh my God, like I just feel like I'm drowning in a sea of introverts, and I'm extrovert, and I'm trying to get my own breath. I'm trying to find my own peace in life, but not as in peace, as in being at peace with my own vibration, as in having things match my vibration, right? As in, like high octane energy stuff, action, motion, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? So I find this really personally difficult, but I think, the main thing of changing your life and growing in your life is radical acceptance of who you are, of your own wants, of your own needs, whether you're introverted or extroverted, and accepting those and seeing how can I move forward in my life, given my introversion or my extroversion, and make myself as happy as possible, but also find the right people who are going to bring out the best in me, because they're going to love me for who I am, and they're going to understand my mindset. I think it's good to mix with different types of people. I don't think every extrovert should just talk to other extroverts, and every introvert should just talk to other introverts, because you don't learn anything. You don't do any new experiences. You don't grow. You still need different people around you to grow to a certain extent. But the more we're around like-minded people, the more we'll feel comfortable being ourselves in the world, because the more we'll be accepted for who we are. Do you see what I mean? I hope this is making sense to you, because it's something I feel very passionate about. Like when I hear people go, oh, I just want to disappear and be on a planet somewhere and not even be in this world. I just want to go off somewhere on my own. I mean, that's fine if they want to do that. But if say you have like someone who's like you're in a romantic relationship with, and that's what they want to do. If you're a person that wants to spend time with that person, quality time, and that's your top love language, but yet they want to go off all the time by themselves, it can feel like you're really disconnected from them, right? And then it could feel too much for them if you want to see them all the time or spend a lot of time with them. So I think being radically accepting of your own self, understand your own needs, wants and desires, and the people you come across, ask them questions, like open questions, like, ask, first of all, you can ask them a closed question, like, are you introverted or extroverted or ambivert? So you can actually get the answer directly straight from them. But then you need to say to them, okay, so if they say, oh, I'm an introvert, say, how does your introversion affect you? Like, how does your introvert version work in everyday life, like in connections and relationships? Like, how much time do you need to spend with your friends or spend with an acquaintance? Or, like, what type of things do you like to do? What's good for your introversion? And vice versa. If it's an extrovert person, you should be asking similar or the same types of questions, because you can't understand each other if you don't know what the other person wants, needs and thinks. Do you know what I mean? And so you kind of need to assess that. But if you're an extrovert that's surrounded by introverts, it can be very difficult. And we have to give ourselves time to understand ourselves better and to try and find people who are also going to be like-minded. It doesn't mean to say that you stop being friends with introverts or vice versa, because a lot of the time, if you've got really good introverted friends, then you want to hang on to them, right? And you want to be able to foster a good friendship or relationship with other types of people, not just exactly the same or similar type of person to you, right? Because we can have lots of different types of friends and people in our lives, but it's very important to understand how that person's life affects them and what they like and what they don't like. If we can try and understand this from the beginning more, then we're setting ourselves up for more success in that friendship or relationship connection, right? Because assuming everyone's extroverted, if you are extrovert, is very difficult. And similarly, if you're introverted, assuming everyone's introverted, it's going to be hard as well. So we need to be asking more open questions, like about, like, how does your introversion work in relationships and friendships, like socially? Do you like socializing? Do you not like socializing? How do you feel? Some introverts, like, prefer one-on-one communication and contact rather than being a group, but some introverts might want to be in a group, but they only want to be a group for a couple of hours. They don't want to spend the whole day with a group of people. Do you know what I mean? Because that would drain their energy. So the thing I like about meetup groups is, like, you can usually stay for a couple of hours, or you can spend hours with the other people, and I think that can work well, because it means that introverts can still get quality time with other people for a couple of hours, but then the extroverts can spend more time socializing afterwards, once those introverts have decided they don't want to be there anymore. So yeah, I think, like, this year is going to be a very interesting year for me. I think, trying to find out more things about what I can do about being extroverted. I think a lot of extroverted activities cost a lot of money, or even if they don't cost much money, they all add up to costing a lot overall. So I think that's really difficult. And I think we have to look at our finances and budget to make sure we're doing some extroverted things every month to keep ourselves extrovertedly sane, if you like. But we also need to, like, be careful of our money, that we don't overspend and that we're not, like, dipping into the red, if you know what I mean. So yeah, if you want any more help, advice or guidance on this, you want me to make more videos on this, please pop a comment down below. I'd love to know what you think of this video. I know it's very different. Whether you're introvert or extrovert, everyone's valid. It seems like the majority of the world, or at least in my world at the moment, is introverted. So you've got loads of like-minded people if you're introverted. If you're extroverted, please shout out and say you're extroverted, because I'd love to know where my extroverted people are. It'd be great. And wherever you fall on introversion, extroversion, ambiversion, just understand yourself, accept yourself for who you are, and then try to find people who understand you. We can understand each other, whether we're extrovert or introvert. We can still understand each other, but we're not that person, and everyone's introversion and extroversion affects them differently, because, like I said, you can have really extreme extroverts and you can have extreme introverts. You can have some introverts that are like, oh, okay, I will be social for a couple of hours or whatever, 2 or 3 hours, but after that, that's it, right? Whereas you can have some other introverts that are just like, I don't want to go out at all, I don't really want to go, I don't want to leave my home, I'd just rather chill here, you know what I mean? So we have to take the person's own characteristics, the person's own needs, wants and desires into account, not just our own. And we have to treat everyone as individuals, just like every asexual is individual and all nuanced. So for me, I like all the I like the outgoingness stuff. I like the socialization. I like being around people. I like being in clubs. I like fast music. I like loud music. That's all energizing to me. That's just good. It's good for me. But for an introvert, it might not be. And a lot of introverts, it probably wouldn't be. So, pick your friends wisely, choose your social circles wisely, learn from other people that are not the same as you, but also try and find people who are like-minded, because once you find people who are like-minded who understand you, you're going to feel accepted a lot more by society. You're going to feel accepted more in life, and you're going to be appreciated more, because they'll be like, you're extroverted too, or you're introverted too, I get you, I understand where you're coming from. And that can feel really good. I think if you're a person who's around the opposite to who you are all the time, it can feel like you're not appreciated or liked for who you are as much, or you're not congratulated for being you. You're not like, oh wow, you're amazing type thing, because the person's like, oh, they're not amazed by what you do, because it's the opposite to what they want and need, if you know what I mean. Although some people might be in awe of who you are and admire who you are because they're not like that, and they think, oh, I wish I was like that, but I can't be, and stuff like that, right? So anyway, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, insightful. It's an interesting topic. I'm sure have a lot of people debating it. And give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Lots of love. Take care, and I'll see you soon on the next video live stream. Signing out from Exeter Quayside. Bye.